WFM 91.7.
All right, that's very true. Nobody be like woman. A woman is definitely special. So that's why we need to protect. We need to always be there for the women around you. You need to actually raise your voice to the issues surrounding women wherever you find yourself. All right, so this is Women Radio WFM 91.7, Nigeria's first radio station for women and their families. Today is Saturday, the 25th day in the month of November 2023. And you know what that means, yeah? I'm sure you do. Do you? All right, let me just save you the stress, okay? Let me just save you the stress. So today, the 25th day in the month of November, is the starting of the 16 days of activism. This is day one of the 16 days of activism. So if you have been following some of our conversations all through this week, we have been bringing in 16 days of activism. I'm sure that, you have actually seen it, you've heard it one way or the other. So today is the day that 16 days of activism is started. Yes, I'm super excited because we are all bringing our voices together to actually, loud all of these issues, especially gender-based violence, because 16 days of activism is on that, sexual gender-based violence, okay? Bringing out the issues on this, talking about the survivors, how they get to survive, the support that they need, and all of that. So that's what this next 16 days is going to be about from now till about the 10th of December. So yes, we're going to be doing this every single day to the 10th of December, every day from today 12 to about 12:30. We definitely get to talk about sexual gender-based violence, all right, sexual gender-based violence for the next 16 days right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Yes, my name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and of course today we are looking at a first responder story. All right, that's our topic for today, the first responder story. So it's day one of the 16 days of activism with the theme Unite, Invest to Prevent Violence Against Women and Girls. The 16 days of activism is a global campaign which will be on from today, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, until 10 December, Human Rights Day. This year, Women Radio 91.7 is spotlighting first responders who provide first-hand help and support to survivors of SGBV. All right, so yes, you can do well to join the conversation by contributing or reacting to the program. You can call us up on 07000 917 917. Okay, send a text or a WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. Send in your contributions to our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube at WFM 917. Or log on to our website www.wfm917.com. You can also download our mobile app WFM 917. So this is Women Radio WFM 91.7. Today, day one of the 16 days of activism, we will be discussing a first responder story. Work done so far, successes, challenges, and way forward in ending violence against women and girls. So that's what we'll be looking at today. All right, and to do this with me today is Dorothy Njamenze, and she is Executive Director, Dorothy Njamenze Foundation. Good afternoon, Dorothy. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me on.
All right. So how have you been? How are you feeling the 16 days of activism? How is it coming to you?
Well, it's mixed feelings, right? I like that there's even the time when people remember that there are issues around women and girls.
Yeah.
But it would be nice if people don't just do their shabby thing and get orange and just go about, doing seminars, workshop and everything, taking pictures in orange. Then after 10th of December, they put the orange away until this same time next year. And that's why I say it's mixed feelings.
Yeah.
While those of us on the field continually advocate for people to engage, it's important for the engagement to be sustained.
Yeah.
So that the impact is maxed out, But for now, it's mixed feelings. It's good that people are talking. It's good that we're making a little progress, but it will make a lot more sense if we sustain the energy of 16 days of activism, even half of the energy,
after
all around. Because a lot of offices, and I'm taking it into the offices, a lot of offices that are doing all sorts of activities, they go cold after 15 days of activism. And that's very heartbreaking, you know. So I hope that this year the heartbreak will not be plenty like last year's one.
Hopefully, hopefully, hopefully. All right. So, that's the voice of Dorothy. She's our first guest on the 16 days of activism. So we have, lineup of, people who are in this particular, in fact, this is what they're actually concerned about, women and girls, and responding to sexual gender-based violence. All right, now in Nigeria, sexual gender-based violence, GBV, is a critical issue with alarming rates of physical, about 30%, and sexual, 14% violence against women aged 15 to 49. Now, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 10 boys experience sexual violence before 18. Approximately 43% of girls face child marriage, exposing them to higher risk. Challenges include human trafficking, FGM, that is female genital mutilation, and conflict-related sexual violence, notably in areas affected by Boko Haram insurgency. Now, despite these distressing statistics, organizations persist in addressing these issues through awareness campaigns, legal reforms, and support services for survivors. Respondents to gender and sexual-based violence typically include a range of professionals and organizations such as law enforcement, healthcare providers, social workers, counselors, NGOs, and advocacy group, and of course helplines specifically dedicated to supporting survivors of such violence. All right, and these respondents who we have actually brought in the 16 days of activism. All right, a first responder story is Dorothy Njamenze, the executive director of Dorothy Njamenze Foundation. All right, Dorothy, so let's just get straight into it. To be a part of the program once again, do well to call in via the number 07000 917 917. Send a text or a WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. All right, Dorothy, let's get straight into it. Now, as an organization, how have you been responding to gender-based violence so far, especially, in the locality where your foundation is based?
All right, so the Dorothy Njemanze Foundation operates from Abuja.
Okay.
And I said operates from Abuja because wherever there's a ray of hope for survivors, it's like irrespective of how far away survivors are, they latch onto that ray of hope that they've seen, right? And so, yes, we're overburdened that way. Our organization is a survivor-run organization, and that is another thing that increases the stress on us or the burden on us, because a lot of people feel, oh, you're not responding to my case because you're looking for a salary. You're responding to my case because you understand the pain I go through. You understand what I need as a human being, and your approach to everything, that involves me will be humane. You're not interfacing with me just because you need a salary. And so we're a survival-run organization. What do? We try to provide round-the-clock support services, real-time support services, because we know that sexual and gender-based violence happens round the clock. And we know the importance of getting help round the clock. We know that so many people have died because they did not get help. Immediately help was needed. We know that delay can be, fatal. And so for that reason, sometimes all somebody needs is just some verbal guidance of how to navigate a system, and then they can manage themselves until when there's better help that can get their way. We know that there's a big problem. People do not know the legal provisions and procedures are not understood by the majority of the people that need them. So that's what we are there for. So online and offline, we render support services to prevent and respond to sexual and gender-based violence in the Dorothy Njemanze Foundation.
All right.
What are these support services? Sometimes it could just be, what are my options? A survivor may want to know what their legal options may be, or if they want to take action against violence that they are going through, what are their options? Is still, what are my options, right? Or how can I get help? I want to leave, I want to do this, but I don't have money. Again, what are my options to get some support to be able to get me to the nearest hospital or to get some support to get me to the nearest police station, or to get some support to get to a shelter. People want to know what their options are. And so they call people like us when they want to know what their options are. When they've known their options, many people need medical care.
Yeah.
Many people need legal care. We support survivors to access these things. And again, accessing law enforcement, people still pay for files in many police stations. So many survivors who cannot eat 3 square meals need to pay for such services. What do? We come in, we step in, and then pay for these bills on behalf of survivors who cannot pay, because that is the only way they have a possible chance of accessing justice. It's important to state here that the cost of justice by the day keeps getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And the higher the cost of justice gets, the less the chances of survivors, have to access this famous thing called justice that everybody really desperately wants, right? So I've spoken to accessing medical care. I've spoken to law enforcement navigation. I've also spoken to legal services. Legal services don't only include going to court. We run a hand-holding system while the investigations are going on in the police stations or in NAPTIP or wherever the law enforcement office we find ourselves. We're telling people, these are your best options now. This is how to write yours. This is what to put in your statement. What not to forget to put in your statement. These are the evidences you need to mention exist in your statement, so that when the investigating officer is working, they cannot do without interacting with the people who have these evidences, right? And that's what we do. Not every case goes to court. Alternative dispute resolution is a thing. We've had serious issues around trying to decipher between what is a plea bargain and what is forced settlements. A lot of law enforcement officers and government offices actually force settlements. They make the women to say, they try to tell the women, you know what, just endure this one. You have come to our office. The woman is saying, I have endured this long, and this is what I want.
Yeah.
In the spirit of being survivor-centered, I would expect that the law enforcement would at least try to make an effort so that even the perpetrator sees that the bargaining power of the woman is high. But when they come to the place, they say, oh, he's the father of your children, it's your boyfriend, you're already pregnant, and he has not married you. If you take action now, he will not marry you, and your child will not have a father. All that is meaningless. Life first, right? So whether it's alternative dispute resolution or we're actually going to get to court, we're there for survival throughout. Psychosocial support cannot be overemphasized. A lot of these things affect us in different ways, affect our psyche in different ways. So we are there for psychosocial support. Now, basic trauma counseling is one thing we come ready with. But there are so many people that need to be referred to psychiatrists because they need medication for the kind of trauma that they have been through. We do that referral to psychiatrists. We ensure that we do the hand-holding system all the way. I tell people, say you don't see psychiatrists, not mean say we don't colo. And the colo where everybody they colo, but the time colo where they colo, let us fit solve the colo. So it's okay to colo and it's okay to take your medicine. If when you not take medicine, now where your colo get problem. Yes, because Nigeria is putting us through a lot, and then the patriarchal systems are putting us through worse. And then for a person with disability, it's a lot worse. And many people do not understand that they are on the disability spectrum because they are in denial about the extent to which trauma has put them on the disability spectrum through depression, anxiety, and other things like that. And so thinking about this, we're there, we do the hand-holding system, and we encourage people to take the stigma away from mental health issues and face mental health issues head-on. Because on ground of the manifestations of mental health, getting worse, a lot of people have had their children taken away from them, and it has all worsened the situations in which they find themselves in. Well, we're there for that.
Okay.
No matter the advocacy you do, if you don't empower women, a lot of women will end up going back to their abusers because they are financially dependent on their abusers.
True.
We set a cause for advocacy. Johnson Gemanze Foundation has a hub of data. And so we're able to engage policymakers, we're able to engage financial institutions, we're able to engage everybody that needs engaging on points with facts. based on the data that we have, on the need to empower people. Now, sometimes you're thinking that the empowerment an adult needs is business. No,
Yeah.
some adults need business and an education. So would you say choose one? It doesn't make sense. In the spirit of being survival-centered, it's important to recognize what people need and meet them at their points of need. That's why we further advocate for gender-sensitive budgeting. Without gender-sensitive budgeting, the government will continue being irresponsible towards meeting survivors at their point of needs. There needs to be adequate budgeting for sexual and gender-based violence to be treated as an emergency, and that should be covered by the National Health Act.
Okay.
There needs to be an adequate provision, in the budgeting space for the humanitarian ministry to adequately support survivors of sexual and gender-based violence.
Okay.
Because when people come to shelters, I erroneously missed that we run a shelter. The Johnson Johnson Foundation has a shelter, and the government has not supported us by giving. One would think, because our successes are the successes of the government, right?
Yes, sure.
So why are we not? There's Ministry of Agri, there are all sorts of things. Why do we not get food for the women who need the food every month? During campaign periods, we see people giving out bags of food and the rest of them, palliatives and all sorts of things. Why is there no deliberate plan to ensure that food items get to people like us that are directly working with survivors of sexual and gender-based violence? Look, even in seeming times of peace, there are so many people going through situations that other people go through in times of war. Women in Nigeria go through a lot of horrible situations in seeming times of peace that other people go through in times of war in other climes.
All right, Dorothy.
And Ministry of Humanitarian needs to sit up better and support people. Then empowerment, TBN, all the different schemes that people can benefit from. Women do not know them. Financial institutions, every bank will tell you they have a product for women. But I ask here, which of the women can access them?
We have a
Can
call.
women in crisis access them? No.
All right, so let's pick this call and see who we have. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Joy Musa. I'm calling from Alimosho.
All right, Joy.
I want to greet your guest.
All right, thank you very much.
Because in 2020, I'm one of the Boko Haram victims. I lost 4 children and my husband, and I have gun injury in my life. I have gun injury. I've done 3 times operation with the help of good Nigerians. Yet I'm still one place. I can't use the leg. So one boy take advantage of my daughter that he want to support us. Then people around, because I can't walk, they went to police station and arrest him, not knowing that the father is a retired colonel. The father is working with police. Then somebody called one woman for me. The woman now let them hold the boy very well. Along the line, I don't know how they play out. They released the boy after 3 weeks. And my daughter has to take treatment. People are helping me. We borrow money to take her to hospital. Everything happens. For how many months she's down with sickness. So along the line, they free the boy. Then the policeman now advised me that I should collect the money of the treatment and forget about it, that nobody will fight for me. That is what, to tell you what women are passing through. So, if there is this kind of person that will fight for women, thank God for our life. Thank God. I didn't know her by then. Maybe she would have fight for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joy. Thank you so much. So sorry about all you've gone through. All right, some of the things that women go through. Dorothy, I'm sure you heard what Joy narrated to us.
Absolutely, that's the daily life we live. That's what we do. But now it's important to remember that first of all, let me start from this angle. The people who respond to cases are not robots. We are human beings. We are Nigeria. We are experiencing the bad economy, amongst other things. And so it means that we should be able to cope with the economy as well, right?
Yeah.
there is really nothing for the welfare and well-being of first responders to sexual and gender-based violence. Even in the human rights defender space, the options for supporting human rights defenders are not available to first responders of sexual and gender-based violence, because many of the options try to help people to run away from the violence, which is to leave the country. I'm not looking to leave this country. Japa is not on my agenda. I want to be able to move away from the problem, that the threat that faces me at that point in time. And I can move from the threat by staying in by staying in Nigeria. I don't need to move out of Nigeria. But many of the people who even have that, support system will tell you, oh, worldwide, when human rights defenders are in danger, they move them to a different location. Please don't move me to a location outside my country. What will happen to the women and children that are depending on me? You understand? And so, what again speaks to the well-being and welfare of responders? Then let's come back to the DNF structure. DNF is survival run. So it means that many times when people come and their families are upset with them for speaking up, then they come and say, I want to volunteer with DNF. If you don't have enough money to pay them, it means that they cannot afford basic accommodation, health, all those things that they need. And yet they are the ones taking on the burden of all these people. Now, there is also trauma that comes from hearing other people's stories that you cannot handle immediately. Vicarious trauma is a thing. The health care of first responders should be the priority of the government, because the gains that first responders record, the government quotes our gains when the government is defending, how it has been there for human rights in different places, whether it is what is it, CIDO or Maputo Protocol or wherever. The government does to want to report in those places, and the quotes are successive.
All right, Dorothy. I'm sorry, I need to stop you there because our time is fast spent already. So I would want us to move to, the way forward. What do you want to see differently? How do we? What recommendations, would you give from the government, society, religious leaders, parents, and even women and girls? And then you give us your final words with that in just a few minutes because our time is fast spent already. So what's the way forward? Because you've listed, some problems already, and of course challenges, I would say, and how it has been so far, the struggle so far. So what are your recommendations? What's the way forward as someone who is a first responder?
Fantastic. Nothing about us without us. Nigeria hasn't advanced with deploying robots for response to sexual and gender-based violence. So the human beings that are taking care of sexual and gender-based violence, prevention and response, need to be taken care of. Because when they die, who does the work? The people who do this work just for salary are not coping well. Go and check it anywhere. Majority of the people who last longer on this job are survivors, because they understand how it has been. Or people who have cared for survivors, they understand how it has been. But many of the times, these are the people who don't have the connection enough to make it to those places where people get salary for the job. So those of us on the field, we need better pay. Businesses, churches, all of them, what are you doing? Don't just give us the lip service. Actually bring out your resources and support us.
Okay.
If you don't support us, look at the woman who just called in. She spoke to how she needed things. Now, all those bills that woman mentioned she needed, I take loans where I need to take loans. I have taken loans. My colleagues have taken loans to be able to support people to get by or get past those situations, or ensure that the system stop victimizing survivors. So you can do something. Personal social responsibility, corporate social responsibility. Your business can support us to pick these bills and give us basic health insurance, just to keep us going. As long as it keeps us going, the truth is that we don't know who the next victim of sexual or gender-based violence will be.
True.
But if you direct your resources to strengthening a system to ensure that, irrespective of the next victim, that there are chances that the victim will not die, then it means that we have to build a system.
All right.
The gaps in the systems run by the government can be, reinforced or strengthened by a support system that is run by companies, individuals,
All
Your
right, Dorothy.
5,000 naira a week, 1,000 naira a week, 1,000, 2,000 a month in support to organizations like the Dorothy Jamaze Foundation is one loud thing you can do deliberately to ensure that what you're doing counts. And
Okay.
then we're not an orphanage. We don't run an orphanage. So many times people say, "Oh, I like to give, but I give only to orphanages." What happens to survivors of sexual and gender-based violence? Who is giving to us?
All right,
Because we
Dorothy.
need a wide range of things. People in shelters need their first year rent to be paid to help them to move out of the shelter, or they are stuck in the shelter. We keep on advocating and advocating, and we
Yeah.
just keep begging. If you have not done something to support us today, then wearing orange is not enough to push the needle forward in combating sexual and gender-based violence. We are calling on everybody to invest their resources, invest your influence as a religious leader,
All right.
invest your influence in community, invest your physical resources, whether they are foodstuff. If you're a farmer, invest your foodstuff. If
Okay.
you produce anything, invest, because our people need, if not for their personal use, they
All
can
right,
use it for
Dorothy.
businesses.
All
But
right.
by all means, please invest for us to move the needle against gender-based violence. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dorothy. Thank you so much for coming up and telling us some of the challenges, how the struggle so far and the way forward. Thank you so much. And I can only hope that by this time next year, when we bring you on, you would be telling us a better story. I'm just hoping so, and we're looking forward to that.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you too. Do have a great day and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
You too.
Thank you. All right, so that's it for the first day of the 16 days of activism right here. Acknowledging Nigeria gender-based violence is crucial. Despite distressing statistics and physical violence, sexual assault, child marriage, and cultural challenges, collective efforts of organizations, professional activists bringing hope through awareness, legal advocacy, and vital survivor support, paving the path for safer and fairer society. And just like you've heard from our guest today, we all have a part to play. Your 1,000 naira will go a long way, okay? So let's try as much as we can to put hands together, join our voices together to help the survivors of gender-based violence. A special thank you to our guest today, Dorothy Njamenze Foundation. That's DNF. Yeah, I'm sure you heard her mention DNF. All right. And of course, thank you so much also to Joy Musa, who called and shared her story, and thanking well-meaning Nigerians who actually supported her through her ordeal. All right, a very big thank you to our producer, Esther Laribe, and the executive producer, Tomo Kewole Shunaya. Join us again tomorrow at 12:05 as we bring you another first responder to tell her story. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser. Do keep your dial locked to Women Radio WFM 91.7. Good afternoon.
WFM 91.7.